On today's episode of Locked On NHL, do we feel strongly about the initial 6 roster unveils yesterday?
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into another episode of Locked On NHL. We are your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. We are your team each and every day as well, and we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. On today's episode of Locked On NHL, we will take a look at the initial 6 roster unveilings for the Olympics. Is this something that gets the Olympics hyped up enough? How do we feel about the initial 6 unveils throughout the NHL? We'll also take a look at changing winds in New York. The Rangers making some big changes is another name potentially on the way out. And we'll head to Pittsburgh, where a longtime franchise mainstay might also be nearing the end of the line himself. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, joined by JD Young of Locked On Sharks. And JD, we had the full unveiling of the initial 6 for the Olympic rosters yesterday.
Is this Spider-Man?
Every single team, and there were a lot of them. No shortage. There were somewhere around 250 to somewhere near 7,000 of them that were unveiled yesterday. My question, though...
They're actually starting now to be ready for the Final Four.
Well,
yes.
It's going to take them a full 2 years or however many years to get everybody situated.
Yes.
So you might as well start early. My question is this. Is this the proper way to hype up Olympic competition by this little teaser, appetizer, light snack platter of the rosters? Like, do we care, without being like super harsh about it, do we care about the first 6 players on a roster without knowing how the rest of the roster looks?
We'll say yes and no. As someone who works in marketing, like as my normal daytime job, feels like not a great time, right? Because the NHL calendar is very busy right now. You have, this thing called the final going on right now, right? Game 6 tonight when you're listening to this. Pretty big thing. You've got free agency, you have draft all within 2 weeks from now. Feels like they could have saved this for a rainy day. Sometime in September, right?
As how about the month of August?
Month of August, but your beginning of September, you start getting guys back on the ice for training camp. Hey, let's start kicking off the season as a nice reminder of we got the Olympics this year. As guys come in to training camp, hey, Sidney Crosby, you're going to the Olympics. You're one of the 6 named, right? And you could have done a whole reaction, videos and stuff like that. And, guys saying how proud what it means to them, except you could have, it's weird timing. Back to the other part of the question of does it get you excited? I think, yes, it does. Some of the guys are going to be on the team and stuff. And I think, going to the Olympics, especially after what we learned from 4 Nations, where, you and I self-admittedly were who cares about the 4 Nations? And then all of a sudden, the puck drops. We were oh my God, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think once we get to the hockey part of it, it's going to be very, very exciting. And, but I do feel they mismanaged the timing of it.
Yeah.
As someone who, again, self-proclaimed idiot, but I feel it kind of got lost in the noise of just what's going on right now. And so,
yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I'm glad you brought up the 4 Nations face-off, because that's going to perfectly illuminate my point as to this is I feel like the roster unveilings should be a bigger deal for the Olympics. And if you are going to do, like, I don't mind the idea of like.
They did this though for the Four Nations, right? The first like 4 in or the first 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
And they did the beginning of the season last year, which again made some sense. They could have done a better job of building the momentum towards it, but still, anyway, sorry.
I just would like to see. So here's an example that I'll give. We have seen, especially this offseason, think about all the stuff that we've seen with the awards handed out to various players, and we've seen them done on social media.
Yes.
How cool would it be to have a series of videos for each
almost team
where, okay, here's your first player. Your first player gets the call from the GM of that team and says, you're on the roster. We need to go get everybody else. Player one.
Like a Muppets, they get in the car, they're getting the band back together. Sidney Crosby driving the car around.
Yes. Player one goes to get player two. Player 1 and 2 go to get player 3.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And you just have this series of videos, however the team wants to do it. However the team, you can leave that up to the team. But that creates suspense. That creates intrigue. That creates some drama because, you know, part of this too is that you get to a point where the media people kind of get the inside scoop, and they start to break and leak the rosters. This way, it's all done under cover of darkness. If you happen to see these players filming the video, that's good for you. But it just creates, like, it's new age content. It creates suspense and intrigue, and it allows the teams to kind of have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like,
I get it.
Think about Nathan McKinnon. Think about what this would do to Avs fans, seeing Nathan McKinnon at like the Avs home arena, and all of a sudden Sidney Crosby walks in and says, "We've been thinking about this for a long time, right?" And Avs fans are like,
"It's happening.
What is going on?"
Wah, wah, wah.
But like, this is like There's too much. There's too much.
Poor
just
Avs fans. That's just
I know. I'm
you
sorry
don't care as a Wild
that
fan. You do not care.
Well, yeah, because Sidney Crosby's not coming to Minnesota. How many cups have you guys won? 0.
Womp womp.
I just want to see it made a bigger deal as opposed to just here's the rosters.
Yeah, was there any surprises for you of like, maybe again, like we kind of have a feeling who's, you know, especially with Four Nations where it's like, okay, like a good chunk of these guys are probably going to be back, right? For the next go around, especially since the tournament's, you know, a year away. And there'll be some additions and some tweaks and stuff like that. But was there any surprises for you, and why was it Slavin over not chosen, but McAvoy was? Like, we know they're both probably going to be there, but like Slavin, who I think most people coming out of Four Nations was like, oh wow, Slavin's like the best defenseman the best defensive defenseman in the NHL. Why was that was by like one, like why is McAvoy picked over Slavin right now? Again, we know they're both going to be there, but
my biggest surprise was the U.S. not naming an initial goalie. Like adding a little intrigue to the, playoff Hellebuck really scared us away. So we're hoping that playoff Ottinger.
I'm very excited for Pete DeBoer to come back to coach Team USA. Ottinger just showing up. You're like, this guy.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. DeBoer is on the coaching staff.
I guess they have to be from USA. I'm not sure where Pete DeBoer's from. I assume he's a good Canadian boy, but but yeah, like just paint to board going like full. It was me, Austin, the whole time.
Yeah, he's a Windsor man.
Yeah, I assumed he's a good Canadian boy, but yeah, like I do. There's a little intrigue there. I thought we were going to spend more time breaking down what you thought of the French initial 6 here, but yeah, like for the most part, like you care about Team USA, Team Canada, Team Sweden, Team Finland, and then everybody else is like, oh, I kind of recognize that guy here or there, type of thing, or oh, good for the Swiss, and the Team Germany. A couple guys there. Nico Sturm definitely. Which guy does not belong for Team Germany? Definitely, yeah. The eye of the Sturm, but yeah, I think they could have saved. They could have saved this announcement for the dog days of August or building up to training camp or something like that. Again, it feels like it's going to be quickly lost with everything else going on right now. So.
Yeah, make it a big deal. That's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Olympics
if it's a
are a big
event,
deal?
Make it a tentpole event. So
I agree fully. Speaking of making it a big event, there's been a lot of trade winds and change blowing New York way. The Rangers just made the Chris Kreider move, or as I like to say, they just parked another used car in the Anaheim parking lot once again. They can't keep getting away with it. Stop helping them out.
They can't.
Take the full salary and everything. Come on. So Chris Kreider headed Anaheim way. Is that going to be the last piece to move on from the Rangers? We'll discuss as we continue today's episode of Locked On NHL after this. Today's episode of Locked On NHL is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. We had some nasty weather roll through my neck of the woods yesterday, and what did I do? I opened the blind, sat on the couch with some Wonderful Pistachios, and watched the lightning roll through the neighborhood. It was a lot of fun, and my previous snacks, which were way more unhealthy, you couldn't enjoy as much of them without feeling really bad about eating. I really don't care with Wonderful Pistachios. 1 handful, 2 handful, 3 handfuls. It's my guilt-free snack. You can have as many as you want, and you are just going to be shoveling protein into your system, which is good for you anyway. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. JD Young and Seth Toupal here with you on your Tuesday edition of the show. We've got Game 6 coming up tonight. So Oilers and Panthers. Can the Panthers finish things off? Do the Oilers have a last gasp in them? We'll find out here tonight. The Anaheim Ducks added Chris Kreider to the mix. Kind of figured with Joel Quenneville back in the NHL coaching circles that this sort of thing would happen. You got to give the veteran coaches vets, and Kreider fits that bill. Anaheim also was like, "Oh yeah, no, we'll take the whole contract. We don't care. You don't have to retain. You don't have to anything. We'll take the whole thing." Mika Zibanejad was less than thrilled. He posted on social media a very heartfelt message post because him and Chris Kreider were very close during their time with the Rangers. And it's interesting too. You look at Zibanejad, $8.5 million per all the way through 2030 It's
Oof.
it's an albatross of a contract.
Also
to say
with
the
a
least.
full no move clause until 29-30, where he has a modified no trade clause.
So I guess the question is, A, does Zibanejad have anything left in the tank? His 18 goals this past season were the least that he's had in a season since 2016, 2017. His 58 points is the fewest that he's had in a season since 2020, 2021. He had 50 points in 56 games. In a regulation-sized season, that is the fewest points that he has had in a season since 2017, 2018. So are we seeing the beginning of the end with several years left on that deal, or can Mika find a new gear for the Rangers?
I don't know, man. That's brutal. That is a brutal contract that he's halfway through, and he's just finished year 3 of 8. I don't expect him to be that bad again, but I think maybe his days as like a top line center that he was for the Rangers are done. And he's probably more of a middle 6 type of guy right now. And maybe though, like if you're a team, that has like a legit number 1C type of player and you need someone to kind of slide into a second line role, maybe Zibanejad could get, find his scoring touch again in that type of role. But and then $8.5 million, like that contract is like you're hoping he can bounce back for the next 2 to 3 years and then kind of gracefully decline as the contract as the cap continues to go up here. But somebody's gonna talk themselves into it. The thing is though, with that, and I guess there's some rumors with Zibanejad's wife, who's kind of been talked about it as well, of that they him potentially leave or being asked to get traded and stuff. Somebody's going to talk themselves. A desperate team is going to talk themselves into it. And why is it the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I was drawn immediately to the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, that's a Sabres-y move too. And they'll trade like JJ Paterka for Zibanejad and just like the ugly. Yeah, just why do we keep helping the Rangers out? So
closed circuit to NHL GMs. You don't have to help bail a team out when they sign a player to an absolutely immovable contract. Like you can just let them toil in it. You don't have to be like, oh no, give me your bad contracts, one and all. We'll take it. Like just let them sit in it. Let them stew in it.
What I mean, because it's like you're good. Do they have to offer something to take? Like, is it like what do the Rangers assume? Because like the thing that sucks is like from the Rangers' perspective, right? Is Zibanejad has full control. So even if they find like a sweet deal where the team's like, yeah, we'll give you something for him, and Zibanejad just like, I don't want to go there. Like they're kind of stuck. With it. So I am curious. They have gotten like the Rangers though have gotten kind of like Trouba waived his clause to go to Anaheim, right? Kreider waived his clause to go to Anaheim. I don't know what Drew is doing. Is he like holding like puppies hostage or something to say like if you don't waive your what is he doing to get these guys to waive their clauses? It is a little can he do it 3 times in a row? I guess
is the third time the charm. The Anaheim Ducks, by the way, they still have
like $20 million below the cap. Yeah, it's just an insane amount.
Do you think Joel Quenneville is like, okay, we need to do this?
He's like, that guy was really good last time I was coaching.
he's just Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, and he's collecting New York Rangers players.
Seriously, man, they're just It's crazy how they're just all going there. Ducks are an interesting team. They're an interesting team, but I'm the Zibanejad thing. Like, do you think he gets moved? I guess is the better. Like, do you think by September Zibanejad is on a different team than the New York Rangers?
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say if he gets moved, I think it's more likely that he gets moved. But then if you say the trade deadline, does New York really want to put him on a retained salary spot for
4 years?
4 years?
4+ years.
I was never good at math.
1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 years, I guess, at the trade deadline. And then what does this mean for Panarin, who's going into the last year of his contract?
Well, here's what it means is if they would move Zibanejad, Panarin would say, I'm out.
Trade me.
Yeah. Panarin would at that point say, I am not going to stick around.
Makes sense.
So
right?
It makes sense. I think that likely means then that Zibanejad sticks around. Because it's the New York Rangers. Like, you don't really get, unless you send a letter out to all the fans, you don't really get the opportunity to do the full rebuild thing. Like, you just reload on the fly. And that's part of the reason that they brought JT Miller in, is that he was going to help them kind of quickly pivot and get back to where they wanted to go.
I mean, I will say they have done a good job of carving out some cap space for a team that had like no cap space. They're up to almost $15 million in cap space right now, and I mean they have to make some decisions here. You have a lot of RFAs, excuse me. Keandre Miller kind of being the headline there of what you're going to do, but they've done a good job of shedding some contract, like Barclay Goodrow's contract, which was a horrible contract, and the Sharks bailed them out there, but that was supposed to be a 3-way trade that fell apart because Trouba didn't want to go to Detroit. So and the Sharks just benefited from both the trades. I guess not benefit, but anyway, you took your medicine with Goodrow. But I'm curious what this team like. This team is and you just paid the goalie, like you just
It's
yuck. Go check out John. It's messy. It is messy.
It's messy. It's very messy. Speaking of messy, there's a team that also plays in the East that has some major question marks of their own that could lead to their future situation getting messy. We'll talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins is at the end of the era for a longtime franchise icon. Not the one you think, but an icon nonetheless. We'll discuss as we finish today's episode of Locked On NHL after this. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Seth and JD finishing things off here. And JD, Evgeni Malkin,
the player,
longtime franchise stalwart for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sounds as though his time with the team is going to be coming to an end here before too long, as there are reports that his contract is not going to be re-upped after his current deal is done. He's done after this season.
That's I mean, with every great team, you have to eventually say goodbye to your, stalwarts. And Malkin, who's 38, turns 39 here at the end of July. It's been one of the greatest Pittsburgh Penguins, a franchise that is loaded with amazing talents. One of the best players in franchise history. like if he's not playing with Crosby, like I think we talk about Malkin more if he was playing on a different franchise and just isn't overshadowed by Crosby and his brilliance. But it's gonna be really fun when Ovechkin and Malkin are both in their 40s playing in the KHL, just putting up a bajillion points here in the season. It kind of seems like the Penguins, they're tanking this year, right?
Yeah.
Malkin
Yes.
last year, they want to trade Eklund, or not Eklund. They want to trade Erik Karlsson. They want to trade Brian Rust, etc. Potential new ownership. Gavin McKenna is going to look really great in that black and gold here in a year from now, right? When the Penguins get gifted the number 1 pick with a generational player with a new ownership, Gary Bettman's last kind of nice goodbye to us. Yeah.
Are you going to be shocked at all when the reports that Isaac Howard and the Tampa Bay Lightning, their relationship is irreparable? Are you going to be surprised at all when the Pittsburgh Penguins trade Sidney Crosby to the Lightning for Isaac Howard and other prospects and pieces?
I assumed he was going to the Blues for Cam Fowler because that feels like the only 1-for-1 trade that's fair for both parties. But
played.
Well played. I do, yeah. I mean, the old people from the Northeast go down to Florida for retirement. It makes total sense for him. Or he goes to play with the Panthers. Go play your 2C behind Barkov. For Sidney Crosby.
I can't do that again. I can't do that for another year after Marchand's. Like, can't keep getting away with it.
They can't keep getting. But no, back to Malkin though. Like, does he, if this is like his legitimate last season, right? And they don't want to re-up, they don't want to, which is again, like you have to at some point, like you have to make a decision as a franchise. Like we can't just keep signing these guys back, right? Like, I mean, the Sharks, we went through it with Joe Thornton, and you went through it with like Patrick Marleau, like guys, like we have to move on as a franchise, right? It is one of the hardest things you do go through as a fan of a franchise when your legends are just, But Malkin at like $6.1 million has a full no move. So if he does get traded, like he has full control. But I could totally see a team this season calling and saying like, you want something for Malkin so he can come help us try to win a cup.
Well, you think about it too. Since we talked about him as well, let's use the Ducks as an example. Let's say the Anaheim Ducks make some massive strides.
Mm-hmm.
Are you telling me that they wouldn't say we have more prospects and picks than we know what to do with? And Kyle Dubas is trying to do that thing right. And the only way that you do that is if you really truly bottom out and get.
It's not pretty, man.
No. Spoken from somebody who has seen it up close for the last several seasons. You gotta really dig deep. You gotta really get your hands dirty.
And Malkin's still a productive player. Like he missed some time last year. He only played 68 games, but he had 16 goals, 34 assists, 50 points in 68 games. Even the year before that, he had 67 points in a full season. Like, I don't see why he still can't be, a 20 goal scorer, 40 assists this season for a team. Like, again, for a guy who's going to be 39, like, I don't see why Malkin still can't be that type of player for somebody, especially on a really good team where he can, maybe not have to kind of carry the load as much. Malkin, I could totally see him playing somewhere else. It's gonna be weird. It's like the Emmitt Smith in the Arizona Cardinals jersey. Very gross, but for me, the Eric Lindros where the Rangers one was, anyway. But yeah, I could totally see it though. Somebody would be willing to part with something of value. I think for Malkin, it's going to be, what does he want to do, right? Does he want to does he want to end his season or end his career and be at one team? And I totally respect that too, right? If you want to, I played my entire career with one team. There's something to that, right? But if he wants to try to maybe go win one more cup, you could totally see it.
It'll be interesting because I feel like there are going to be a lot of franchise stalwarts that are potentially available come the trade deadline this year. And it's going to be all about what the GMs that have been outside the department store looking in are willing to pay, because they have a lot of it. Kyle Dubas needs it. It's going to be all about if they overpay a little bit to make it happen. We'll see. Well, that will do it for today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. We are your team each and every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got them for you right here as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team each and every day.